Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon, and this is Shannon's Book Nook. And today we're going to be doing the August wrap up thing. So let's talk about it real quick. So, for the month of August, I did participate in one readathon, which was Battleathon, which was hosted by Eleanor Reads. And I feel like I did pretty good. We don't know which teams won yet. So I'm hoping we will find that information out very soon. I will tell you how many points I got for my team, which was House of Wings, at the end of the video. So let's get into the stats real quick. I read 14 books total, which honestly is so much better than I thought I was going to do because honestly, we started the school year. I'm exhausted with the new start time. So you know what, 14, I'll take it because yeah, did a lot better than I thought I was going to do. I read 5 ebooks, 3 audiobooks, and 6 mixed media, meaning I did it like a tandem read, whether it was with a physical book and an audiobook or an ebook with an audiobook. I did a tandem read. I did end up DNFing 2 books, so let's talk about those real quick. Queen and Conqueror by Isabel Olmo. I started, I believe, last month. I kind of soft DNF'd it, and then I just never went back to it, and I didn't really care to go back to it. I got about 46% into the book, and I just decided this month, you know what, I don't feel like going back to that book, so I DNF'd it. I did not count this book for any page count for this month since I did not read it at all this in August. The other book that I DNF'd, I'm actually quite disappointed in because I bought the physical copy of book 1 and the physical copy of book 2. And these are some chunkers. These are some bricks. And I thought I was going to love it. And I ended up DNFing at like page 204, I believe, because I like to, yeah, 204. So I didn't even get halfway. I was a little less than halfway. And I was very confused. The characters were confusing. Like, I felt like there were characters, they were the same character, but they had different multiple names. And I was getting confused on who was who. And is the hero really a hero? Doesn't seem like he's a hero. I was so lost. I don't like feeling dumb when I'm reading a book, and this book was making me feel that way. So I just gave up. And so if you're interested in these 2 books, they are currently in my Pango storefront. So check those out because I will be unhauling them, unfortunately. So those were my 2 DNFs. I did read 2 arcs, which we will get to later. And then I read 4,001 pages. I listened to 110 hours, 41 minutes, and 31 seconds of audiobooks. And then my average rating was actually pretty good for this month. I had 3.64 for my rating average, which honestly, you know what, is not bad. And then my most read genre, which kind of shocked me a little bit, is fantasy romance. I read quite a bit of fantasy romance this month. Goodness. So that takes me up to 122 books read in the year of 2024. My goal was 96, so I have definitely surpassed my goal. And I'm just going to keep reading and keep adding to that. So, yeah, those are my stats. Let's get into the actual books that I read and what I rated each book. All right, so the first book that I read in the month of August was The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. And in this book, we follow Mackenzie and Noah, who are both doctors at the same hospital. And these two are actually wolf shifters, and they agree to be fake mates because Noah's alpha status has been outed, and he did not say that in the interview, and so that's kind of frowned upon. So they decide to be fake mates, but they unexpectedly find something real. This is a steamy paranormal romance. It's also a rom com. So if you are looking for something light and fluffy, and you kind of want to dip your toe into like what is Omegaverse, this would be a great starting point for you. I had such a good time with this book. I gave it 4 stars, and honestly, I would recommend it if you are just looking to see if you've never read Omegaverse. Is this something you're gonna like? Because it is still a rom com, but you just kind of get a little taste of what Omegaverse is going to be. So I really enjoyed this book and I highly recommend it. All right, the next book is an Atria book that I got since I am a partner. So they sent this book to me, and it's Eyes of the Queen by Oliver Clements. This is the first book in a series. This is a thrilling adventure, historical fiction. Um, it will transport you back to the 16th century and set in England. We have Queen Elizabeth I, and we have our main character, John Dee, who is, I guess, in love with Queen Elizabeth. And he's a scholar, he's a soldier, he's an alchemist, he's loyal to the Queen, and he is willing to do whatever he needs to do to protect her. So he creates Her Majesty's Secret Service. I was very intrigued by the synopsis of this book, but honestly, I was a little bored, and I did not like the way that women were talked about in this book. Like, I get it, set in 16th century England. It, it's, I don't know, I had trouble with this. Like, I ended up giving it 2 stars. I will read the next book because I do have the 4 books in this series. Atria sent me all 4 books, so I do want to give it a go. I do want to give it a try. I don't want to just give up on it, but I didn't like the narrative of how women were viewed, and there were just some things that didn't sit well with me, and so it was kind of cringe. So I did give it 2 stars, unfortunately, but it did have the word queen in the title, which worked for Battleathon because I needed royal words in the title. So it did give me an additional 10 points, but I only gave it 10 stars, so it almost wasn't worth it. But check it out if you like historical fiction and you like a little bit of mystery with your historical fiction. I'd check it out for sure. Then I read A Cage of Crimson by K.F. Breen. This is actually book 5 in the Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales series. So I do recommend that you read the first 4 books, even though you're following different characters. You kind of need to know the backstory, especially because this is a spinoff. We follow Weston, who is an alpha wolf shifter. I, like I said, I don't know. I read a lot of fantasy romance slash paranormal romance this month, so there's a lot of shifters in this wrap up. But Weston is an alpha, and he ends up, there's enemies to lovers, there's fated mates. Um, his mate ends up being Aurelia, who is you know, a female she's very strong, very sassy, love her. She is mixed in with somebody who is not the best. So Weston is sent out by the Dragon King and Queen to basically round up this group of drug pushers who are pushing this drug that is very, very dangerous and very, very highly addictive. So he goes, and as he is taking care of business, runs into her. And immediately he knows, and he's like, shit. So it's fun to watch him battle like the two sides of himself. One side is like the moral compass saying like, oh, she's mixed in with these people, she's not a good person. And then the other side, like, mine, she's mine, mine, mine. So the two sides are kind of battling, like, she's a bad person, I can't be mixed in with her, I'm going to have to turn her over to the Dragon King and Queen, don't get attached. And then the other side is like, no, she's mine, we must protect her. So seeing that, and then Aurelia, she, while she's mixed in with these people, she's not quite aware of everything that is going on. So there's more to the story than meets the eye. So I highly recommend this series. I loved The Deliciously Dark, the first four books. Absolutely love them. K.F. Breen's humor is quite funny. I love it. It's dark. It's a little twisted. It's perfect for these kind of books. So definitely check out these books. I gave it 4 stars. Next up, we have Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. Y'all, I was a little disappointed. I was super excited to get back into to the Dreamland Billionaire series. I gave the fine print 5 stars. So, and then this one follows Declan and Iris, and Iris is a Black woman, and so I loved like the whole interracial relationship, and I was so excited for this book. Now, it's a little emotional, a little lighthearted, a little funny. It's a workplace romance because Iris is Declan's assistant. And it's a fake marriage, slow burn, and a grumpy sunshine trope. Okay. So, which I love all of those things. However, Declan was, it says grumpy sunshine, but Declan is almost more like a douche canoe because usually what happens in a grumpy sunshine is like once the grumpy and the sunshine character kind of get together, the grumpy person is not as grumpy or not grumpy at all. And Declan just continues to be kind of a butthole. So I didn't like Declan so much. I loved Iris. I did not like Declan so much. And when you have a romance and you don't like one of the partners, your rating's going to reflect that. So I gave this a 3 star. I was a little disappointed, unfortunately. So yeah, I have the final offer that I plan on reading very soon because I do want to get this series wrapped up before the end of the year. So I hope to read that very soon. Okay, this next one I'm not going to spend too much time on because I did not enjoy it. It's Taken by the Dragon King by Amelia Shaw. It is a fantasy fated mates dragon shifter romance, okay? Um it's short. It was only like 160 something pages. So it was very short. Um which is a good thing because if it had been any longer, I probably would have DNF'd it. I did not. So we have a human living in the human world, and I can't even remember her name. And we have a dragon king living in his magical area. Okay. He basically goes to this human village and like can sense that his mate is there, and he basically kidnaps her and takes her back to his kingdom and is basically like, you're mine. And she's okay, she's seemingly okay with it. um okay. I need more, like, the if honestly there should have been like more tension, more. It was just she was okay with it. She had never seen a shifter before. She had never seen any kind of magical creature before, but she's seemingly okay with everything. Anyways, so yeah, I gave this 2 stars and I quickly moved on to my next book. All right, up next we have The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I gave this 4 stars. This thriller was a much needed change of pace. So we have the main character, Casey Fletcher. She has been exiled by her mother to the lake house, and she has been recently widowed. She is an actress, and she is trying to escape the bad press that is surrounding her and her recent loss and her recent um she showed up drunk to her job, and so there is some very bad press that is surrounding her. And while she is at her lake house, the house across the lake has the Royces, and they are a married couple who seemingly have like this perfect marriage. And so um, Casey is kind of just watching the house across the way because her and Catherine Royce, who is the wife, kind of hit it off, but Catherine ends up disappearing. And so Casey is trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So it was a lot of fun. She, the twist, it was a little predictable. It was, but I still had a good time. Was it my favorite Riley Sager book? No, but I still had a good time. So I gave it 4 stars. Then we have Mile High by Liz Tomford, which this is book 1 in the Windy City series. I did read this series out of order. I read Caught Up, which is book 3, earlier this year, and I gave that 5 stars. And Mile High follows Xanders, who is on the Chicago basketball team. He is a little cocky, a little arrogant, full of himself, and he is a little, yeah, no, definitely full of himself. But Stevie, who is one of the flight attendants on the team's private jet, is sassy and doesn't give a hoo ha about who Xander's or what he does for a living. She don't care about that. And so he kind of meets his match with Stevie. Now, Stevie is a plus size girly, which I absolutely love that rep. I'm a plus size girly myself. So seeing these kind of romances with plus size girls is a lot of fun. I gave this book 5 stars because Liz Tomford, in my eyes, can do no wrong. I absolutely love these books, and I do plan on reading the next book, which I think is called The Right Move, and then Play Along. I want to read Play Along so bad. I might end up reading that before The Right Move. But I Xander's and Stevie's story, like Stevie is confident, but at the same time, very insecure. And so you kind of see both sides of that, which honestly, like who isn't a little bit of both? Now, some people could be more one than the other. Like Xander's, he's very confident and overly confident in some ways. So there are things that, in his past that he is having to work on, and just seeing them grow as people, and then like it's just, oh, I loved this story. It was so good. read it. If you have not read it and you like sports romances, read this story. It's so much more than a romance. There's so much depth to these characters, and oh, just read it. Read it. All right, up next we have A Kingdom of Blood and Betrayal, which is book 2 in the Stars and Shadows series by Holly Renee. Excuse me. I actually ended up reading book 2 and book 3, which book 3 is called A Kingdom of Venom and Vowels. Vowels, not vowels, vows. I ended up giving both of these books a 4 star. I really enjoyed my time with these books. They're spicy. It's a fantasy romance. We have fae, we have gods, we have, yes, it's so freaking good. And you know what? It's dark, it's emotional. Uh, and you know what? Oh, there are vampires in it as well. Duh. I was afraid that I would not like this series going forward. I read book 1 months and months ago. You know what? I want to look it up because I think it was maybe a year ago. Yeah, August 12th, 2023. So a year ago, I read the first book and then I never went back to it. And I was really afraid that I would have a hard time getting back into the story and remembering what happened. You know what? It was so easy to just pick it up and keep going. And I actually ended up loving book 2 and book 3 more than book 1. So I highly recommend picking up this book. I want to pick up The Veiled Kingdom next by Holly Renee because I've heard such good things about that series. So pick it up and read this series. I read King of Pride by Anna Wong next. I was obviously, now that I'm looking back at it, not in a romance mood. I wanted that epic, like, fantasy romance love because now that I'm looking back at my ratings, I'm like, it shows. So King of Pride follows Kai Young, who is a CEO, and he is no, he is up for the vote to get the CEO role in his family's company. But some things, he doesn't really want it yet. He's honestly like, I'll take it if it's given to me, but I'm not quite ready to take on that responsibility just yet. I'm only 30, give me some time to age and mature and life experience and whatnot. Isabella, she is she's got purple hair, she's got inappropriate jokes. She is a bartender. Like, Kai and Isabella are opposites in almost every way. Like, Kai will translate literary works into Latin for fun. And while Isabella is like totally opposite, inappropriate jokes, purple hair, bartending. So they are opposites. But there's an attraction there that cannot be denied. The chemistry was very well done, but there was something missing for me. And I just thought this book was okay. I ended up giving it 3 stars because there was something missing and I can't quite put my finger on it. So, but yeah, their chemistry was good. Their Isabella was funny with her inappropriateness. It was seemed like every time she turned around when she was talking to her friends at work, every time she turned around, Kai would be there and she just said something super inappropriate. And she's like, why is it every time I talk about this, you're right behind me? So that was quite funny. Then I read this gem, A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. This is book one in the Sacred Stones series. We have Arwen, who is a freaking badass. She, her stupid brother stole coin from Onyx soldiers, and he returns home with this bag of coin that is obviously not his. And because her country and the Onyx country are fighting, they are at war. And he steals the coin and comes home. Well, the Onyx soldiers follow him and they're like, "You got to come with us. You stole our coin." And she's like, "No, I will take his punishment. I will go with you." So she goes with them, and she is a healer. So she acts as their healer in the Onyx kingdom. So she is in enemy territory, and she is trying, even though she's a healer and she's playing her role, she is trying to figure out how she can get out of the Onyx kingdom to get back to her family. This book, the tension, it's a slow burn. The found family, because she does start to connect to people in the Onyx kingdom, and she realizes that her stereotypes, her prejudices, her preconceived notions that she had are incorrect of the Onyx kingdom. So like there's this sense of found family. It was so freaking good. I immediately bought book 2 and pre-ordered book 3 because I was like, no, I need the rest of the story. I need it. It is my Roman Empire right now. I am obsessed with Arwen and Kane. My man. I just chef's kiss. Kate Golden, chef's kiss. Thank you. Then I read my book club pick, which was The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This duo, I love this author duo so much. I gave this book 4 stars, and The Paradise Problem follows, oh goodness, I forgot their names. Give me a second. Anna Green and Liam Weston. Okay. So Anna and Liam, they have a marriage of convenience. So while they were in college, they got married because they wanted to live on in this apartment complex on campus that was solely for basically families, okay? People who were married. So they got married, and they kind of went their separate ways after college, even though they were technically still married. So Liam is having to go to Thailand. Pause. Okay, I can't find it, but they were in some tropical place. So flash forward to 3 years later, Anna is a starving artist. She Liam basically calls her up and says, "Hey, I need you to, come to this family event in this tropical location and pretend to be my wife. They still think we're married and we need to continue that pretense because my grandfather's will states that I don't get my inheritance unless I have been married for 5 years, happily married for 5 years." And so they kind of starts off as a marriage of convenience and moves on to this whole fake dating trope because they are pretending to continue to be married. And Liam's family is very wealthy, very privileged, and I was so frustrated with his entire family unit. They are toxic. They come from a world of wealth and privilege. And I don't know how Liam did not turn out that way because literally everybody around him is toxic and so privileged. And oh my gosh, yeah, protect Liam at all costs. But so Liam and Anna, they kind of pretend. And while they're pretending, they quickly realize that some things are just not worth the the trouble. I'll let you figure out what I'm talking about. So, I really like this book. I gave it 4 stars. I had a good time with it. My book club will be meeting in a week or so, so hopefully I can keep it fresh in my mind because I'm really bad about forgetting. That's why these wrap ups sometimes are so hard because as soon as I finish a book, if I don't write a review on it, the it goes away. So, hopefully I can remember enough to talk about it at book club. I do remember one thing though that would make me laugh because Liam is very well endowed and I'm not going to say the word because I don't like using this word. But she would call his package, um, his GD, like his GD. Like it made me laugh every time. I don't like using those words. So, but I thought it was funny the way the narrator in the audiobook said it. It made me laugh every time. Every time. All right, up next, we have That Prince Is Mine by J.C. Lee. I gave this 3 stars. It was a NetGalley arc. I had a good time with it, but it was missing something for me. So we have a love adverse Korean woman named Emma, who is a royal court cuisine instructor. So she's teaching people how to do this like royal court Korean cuisine. And she is looking for her on paper perfect husband, and her godmother is a like basically a matchmaker, and to kind of protect her godmother's reputation, she agrees to go on some dates that end disastrously. And while she's at this cafe meeting up with one of her dates, which ends very quickly, like less than 5 minutes, the date is already left. Michael, who is sitting at the cafe watching this go down, Michael sees it and he decides, I want to go talk to this woman. So they do. And he is a instructor at a local college. He's a professor at a local college, but he's a prince in disguise. And so, he does end up telling her later in the book, but his identity is a secret to begin with. So they end up going on some dates and they're fake dating for a while. I love when there's representation of other cultures. So we have the Korean culture, and I can't remember where he's from. I want to say somewhere definitely in Europe. I'm leaning towards like French for some reason, but I cannot quite remember. So the interracial relationship here was so cute. It's very heartwarming. Um, and their happily ever after was so cute. So I do recommend this book if you're looking for a light, fluffy read that has, an element of cooking and secret identity for sure. Last but definitely not least, we have Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. This is a novella between the 2 books in the Crown of Nyaxia series. I loved this book. Like, I think I connected more to Lilith and Bane's story than I did the other couple because right now I cannot remember their names. But this book is a fantasy romance. It's a slow burn. We have vampires. We have the tale of morality, love, and the supernatural. It's dark, it's emotional, and it's adventurous. So this is a very quick read. Goodness gracious. That follows Lilith and Vane. She is trying to figure out what is killing the people in her village. Why are these people slowly disintegrating into basically dust? And so she is almost like a healer, bit of maybe a scientist trying to, figure it all out. So she goes to Vane, who is a vampire, and she is like, I want to make a deal with you. I will get you whatever you want if I can just get some vials of your blood to study. So that's what they strike this deal. And his blood, she ends up studying it, trying to figure out if this will help the people who are deathly ill, which includes her sister and herself. So the village, this mystery illness is, taking people out, and she's trying to find a cure, and she's hoping it's Vane's blood. So I really enjoyed their story. There were scenes that were quite funny, especially when she knocks on his door. He doesn't answer, so she goes in. Girl, number one, if he's not home, why are you going into his house when he's not home? Number two, if he is home, why are you going inside his house when he didn't answer the door? He's a vampire. Have you lost your mind? But that scene was funny because he was home. He was a little busy. If you know, you know. But yes, so that was my last book. I did give it 4 stars. So let's see how many points I gave to my team, House of Wings. Let's do the total. Okay, I did the big old tally. I got 5,160 points for Team House of Wings, which is pretty darn good if I do say so myself. I'm very proud of how I did this month, not just because I read a lot of fantasy romance, which is obviously what I was feeling, because those books got higher ratings than the regular romance or thrillers or whatever. So I do plan on reading quite a bit of thrillers over the next couple of months, but I want to continue reading my fantasy romance because I'm a little obsessed right now, which is awesome because for the last couple years I haven't really been wanting to read fantasy romance. So I appreciate you sticking around for this long. If you have stuck around and you liked the video, don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you want to. If you want to check me out on any of my other socials like Instagram or Goodreads, you will find the link in the description. Also, if you want to check out my Pango storefront, I have the link down below. I did just recently, like yesterday, add a few books. So if you want to check that out, be sure to check out my storefront. And I will see you next time. Bye.